Humans have always had a fascination with the ocean. For some, it's a relaxing escape from the troubles of life. For others, it's an unforgiving challenge that tests their limits. But for our ancestors, it was nothing short of a nightmare. They were the first humans to ever set foot on this planet, and when they arrived, there was already life here. And I mean real life, not like the plants and animals we know today. This world was populated by creatures that would make any modern-day shark or octopus look like a minnow. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going back to the beginning. Let's find out what ocean monsters did early humans fight, and how did they even stand a chance? The Earth's surface is covered with water. About 70% of it is underwater, and only about 30% of it is land. So it might seem obvious that the people who first inhabited the Earth would have been seafarers. But no, the earliest humans were definitely land dwellers. There are a few reasons why the oceans were so inhospitable at this time. First of all, the climate was a lot different. The Earth was much warmer than it is now. And as we all know, warmer temperatures mean more energy. And with more energy comes larger organisms. The seas were also full of creatures that would be right at home in Jurassic Park. There were giant squid, megalodons, and even bigger sharks. These creatures made the oceans a dangerous place for humans. The earliest evidence of humans in the Americas dates back to around 14,000 years ago. This was during the last ice age. But there is evidence that humans may have arrived in North America as early as 30,000 years ago. However, these early humans were probably not seafarers. They were more likely explorers who ventured into the ocean in search of new hunting grounds. The problem with this theory is that there is no evidence that humans hunted whales or other large sea creatures until about 10,000 years ago. This is strange because whales and other large sea creatures are a great source of food. You'd think that humans would have started hunting them as soon as they arrived in North America. But the fact that they didn't suggests that the oceans were still too dangerous. So if humans didn't hunt whales and other large sea creatures, then what did they do? The answer may surprise you. Humans actually started fishing for smaller creatures like shellfish and crustaceans. This is evidenced by the discovery of stone tools that were used for harvesting shellfish. Humans were able to use these tools to pry open the shells of clams and other shellfish and get to the tasty meat inside. Of course, this wasn't easy. Clams and other shellfish are not exactly known for their soft shells. It took a lot of effort and time to harvest them, but humans were willing to do whatever it took to get food, and eventually they were successful. Humans learned how to fish more efficiently, and they began to catch more shellfish than they could eat. What they did with the extra shells is even more interesting. Humans began using the shells as tools themselves. They would cut them into smaller pieces and use them as knives and other cutting tools. In fact, these small pieces of shell are some of the oldest surviving artifacts from humans. They've been found all over the world and date back thousands of years. So you can see that early humans had to be very resourceful. They were constantly trying to find new ways to survive in a dangerous world, but they were also very persistent. Once they learned how to harvest shellfish, they stuck with it. They continued to use shells as tools for thousands of years. In conclusion, humans have always had a difficult relationship with the ocean. It's both a life source and a killer. Our ancestors were well aware of this, and they respected the ocean accordingly. They knew that they were not the top predators in the ocean. There were bigger, stronger, and meaner creatures out there, so they didn't try to fight the ocean monsters head-on. Instead, they tried to avoid them altogether. They didn't go into the deep waters where the big squid and megalodon lived. They stayed close to shore where it was safer. And they focused on harvesting shellfish. Yes, it's ironic that the same creatures that humans once feared are now some of their favorite foods. But that's just the way it is. We humans are complex creatures. Sometimes we fear what we don't understand, but once we learn to understand it, we become fascinated by it. Such is the case with the ocean and its creatures.